Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany. I'm the Tipsy artist. Today, we're going to be painting this beautiful barn. I think it can be up all year round, but it's also great for Christmas too. So whichever you prefer, because it's just a lovely barn that's with a night sky and some lights up. So it's fun, I think, all year round or Christmas. So either way. So this gives you a look at what it looks like with our in-studio classes when I do them in bigger classes. And then we have a painting kit with this as well that we do with a 9x12. So we're going to show you how we'll be doing that. And then that's the size that we'll work on today. So we have these lovely little painting kits. They come with the traceable and the transfer paper and all of your supplies. So we're going to go ahead and switch the camera view so that you can get a nice up close look at it while I work. And here we go. But I did want to say hi real quick first. All right. And I gotta put these on so I can see tiny buttons. So we're gonna switch cameras here. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at all of our supplies. And by the way, all this does come with your painting kit. You can find everything that you need at tipsyartist.com. And if you could also take a moment to, we would love it if you could support us with a subscribe and a like on the video. We are a small family business, so we really appreciate all of your support. All right, now let's start talking about our supplies. We have our water and our paint. I do have a little bit of some titanium white and black already out. And then we have, I just got paint on me. That's all right. I'm used to that. So I went ahead and worked ahead. I did all of my tracing. I do have a separate video that talks just about that part and how to do it. So that's on the website with the link that has all of this too in there as well. And then let's talk about these tools. So we have a fun little family of brushes. This is my mama. And then this is my little buddy. And then this is my little bit. All right. And then this painting kit also comes with a palette knife, which is really fun. And then these tools, this is your permanent marker and your pencil. This is what we use to do the tracing part. And then I love to do a hard line ink of it as well, so that it really actually comes through the paint, helps preserve your trace. So it's really nice and helpful there. All right. And then of course you've got your little paint plates nearby. And then your paint. This is what it looks like brand new. And I'm reusing some older paint that I've already got, so I need to use that up. Because one box typically lasts for more than one painting, which is good news for y'all. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get started with this background paint here. This is going to be our midnight sky. And so I'm going to be using the Mama brush. Now you'll get brand new brushes, so they might be a little bit stiff. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a little spin here in the water. And then let's go ahead and kind of dab that dry. This way the brush is nice and moist and flexible, ready to use. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some primary cyan blue. I'm going to put a nice, got a nickel-sized dollop of that. And then I've already got some Mars black, which you'll just need. I would, again, go for that same size, kind of a nickel-sized dollop of that too. All right, so I've got my nice primary cyan blue here. I'm going to do a little corner touch into the black. We're going to mix that together, and that will darken that up a little bit. That's beautiful. And again, I'm using my Mama brush. All right, we're going to go ahead and start to push this onto the background. And my brush stroke will feel a lot like you are making the letter X over and over and over again. So just like that. Okay. A lot of repetition. We're going to continue to place this into our sky. Just back and forth. That'll give us a nice texture. And we're going to go right over those branches. I'm really not too concerned about we may lose the branches because this is so dark. I'm gonna teach you how to do your branches here in a little bit too. I do that with beginners at all of my life classes as well. In fact, we just blacken all this in the sky and then I just teach them how to paint the trees in. So beginners can definitely do it. And I'm gonna teach you how. All right, again, we're just crisscrossing back and forth. Working that in. And as I'm doing this, I want to hold that brush more over to the side, parallel to the canvas. That'll give you a light, gentle hand. That allows a lot more of that paint to really rest on the surface. Now I'm starting to get close to my string lights. And so I want to do a little bit of cutting work around there. Which again is a little bit optional. I also teach you how to do those. There's a lot of simplicity, even if they're not already there. There's a real simple trick with that, but you're a little nervous about having to make the shape again. Definitely do the cut-in work. And again, just cross back and forth. And we've got this length line here, so I want to make sure that I cut in on top of that. And I'm going to have to use my little triggers here for that cut-in work. More than likely, we'll see. I'm going to get right next to that. If that makes you nervous, if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can navigate that close with this big of a brush, absolutely switch over to your little bit brush. Just got a little bit of water. Do a little twirl into that paint. And what that does, that loads up the brush with paint, but as you twirl it, it twirls it into a nice fine point. And then you can just hold it like you hold a pencil and then do more of those precise little moves right around those shapes that you're trying to cut in with. And you only want to use this brush for just the cutting work. Letting along this side. And here's the top of our roof. And we're going to do a soft curve around that light so that it stays intact for you. All right, so we've got our cut-in work. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse out a little bit. Off there. We're going to go back in with the mama brush here. Load it back up. Then we're going to feather out some of that work in there. Get nice coverage over the top. Got a little bit of water. This helps extend that paint into the background. right over the top of the light right there. And then keep it right over there. Got a little bit more of our primary cyan blue. Not much as the black. Just a little bit of black is all you need. And just crisscross back and forth. And then we've got that cutting work. So I'm going to hold the brush more like a pencil. And we've got that thin line edge on the edge of the brush. And we're going to use that to do the cutting work along the roof line here. And we'll take that all the way down. And we'll start to kind of feather that out, go back to that nice little crisscross brush stroke. Again, it feels kind of like you make the letter S. Work that into our background. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit more of the blue and kind of touch that in back and forth. And crisscross that in back and forth here. That's a lovely. Good job. A little bit of transparency here, and I'll go ahead and turn back over with another little coat. And a little bit more of the blue. Just going to crisscross that in, back and forth. All right. Let's go ahead and rinse it out. All right, we don't want to lose the top of our bond shape in here, so I'm going to subdue this a little bit with a gray quality. I'm going to use my little buddy brush, and we're going to go ahead and work this into that same mix there. We're going to get a nice slate. So white with our primary cyan blue and our Mars black. And we're just going to work that in. And I'm going to go ahead and come into my roof line here. There's our little tree. We'll go ahead and leave that intact and do my head and work around it. And we're going to be pulling that tree back out to the foreground in the later step. So even if you do a slight overpaint on it, it's okay. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that darker color and work that in, crisscross that in. And I definitely want contrast between the roof line and the sky, so you don't lose that beautiful shape of the bond. Let's go ahead and work into that roof line. Looking beautiful. Push back and forth into that paint. Lovely. Right, so we're good on that. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse out. And while I have some of this beautiful color mixed up, we're gonna bring that into our snow since we have a lot of that happening. So I'm gonna go back to my mono brush. We're going to pick up some more of that white, and we're gonna be dipping that into that cobalt, sorry, primary cyan blue. So that Mars black. And I'm gonna go ahead and sweep this back and forth from here. You can make it a little bit darker, shadow that comes underneath the tree. Sweep it back and forth. Sweep that back and forth. Sweep it back and forth here. And then let's grab some violets. Touch. Oh, look at that. It's branding. So I pull that silver foil off the top. Dot of that. Show it all. Perfect in there. That's beautiful. Sweep it back and forth. It's really nice to do this when that paint is still kind of wet. Nice sweeping strokes back and forth. It's so pretty in there. It's back and forth. Yeah. Have a little cadmium red. Lightly can lay that on right there, the sweets of it. Take it back and forth. Very pretty. Okay, let's go ahead and rinse out. On here. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and mix up. If we have our gray, it's definitely gonna be some of the colors that we'll use. It's gonna, you can see how it's gonna become pretty colorful and have a little bit more of that blue. I'm gonna come back and do this little roof line here. So I'm gonna use my little buddy brush, some white and some black. Let's get some light red. Let's make it a lot lighter. There's some light gray. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hold the brush more like a pencil. And I'll get a nice little line of that light gray coming around the roof here. Now, clearly I have painted this more than once. I had a tree at one point in front, and I had a tree going behind him that I went on, but not noticing that. I'm gonna match my template today and go the tree front. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I have painted this a few times. And sometimes make those little discoveries when I come back and look at a different model. Going into that light gray. Take that all the way down. Sweep it. Put it in there. And then we're gonna start to work in a little bit more of the darker black and here where they come underneath. Do a little sweep of that darker gray, that charcoal gray underneath here. And while this is a nice reference, it's going to be extremely hard to do cutting work around. So I'm going to go ahead and do an overpaint over it, and then I'm just going to teach you how to redraw, repaint the string lines. It's so much easier just to redo them over the top because I have really easy tricks to redot and reline. And it's just really hard to do all that tedious cutting work. It's a nice reference, though, to kind of give you an idea of where that would be. Darker charcoal here on this side. I don't use that reference with that trail, but you can then make it a little bit lighter. And then come in on this side. I'm just going to do vertical strokes up and down. And you can pull in a little bit of that darker charcoal up at the top and then pull it down into that barnwood, and that gives that look of that barnwood that goes up and down. And don't worry about the tree. We're going to come back in and tap that towards the end. Right now, we're just doing some nice vertical strokes of the charcoal gray and the light gray. Put the darker section in. Work that in. Same thing here. I think it's that. If I can look at lighter. And each time I go in to that section, kind of try to lighten it up or darken it up, conversely, either way, so that you can kind of get that look of another board coming in next to the other one. I swept in a little bit of that darker charcoal in there. So again, we're working in our light gray and our dark charcoal gray. And continue to kind of fade this in from the top. So I'll work in that darker charcoal here at the top. And then kind of do little pulls into the vertical stroke here. And reline with that darker charcoal gray. And then can I do little vertical pulls with that darker charcoal? Again, lighter. Lighter gray, and then let's come back with a little bit of that darker charcoal. And rework it up to the top line and then do a little vertical pull there. Very nice, keep going with that. White in there. Sweep it in, back and forth. And we'll realign the top here with that darker charcoal. Yeah, I think that little separation with the barn wood. Again, I keep coming in with that darker line of charcoal at the top and re-blend it and soften the transition between that area and then coming down. Shadow coming in around this door. More of that black coming in. Looking at that back and forth in there vertically. Coming a little bit darker here at the base. We define that horizontal line there. Maybe those vertical lines. Then redefining that blacker line. And a little bit of a horizontal line there, little triangle. Sweeping that in. And then sweep in some more of those thin vertical lines. A lot of back and forth between this move in here to redefine that, kind of softly blend it in, and come back down into that vertical stroke. And this gets to be quite a bit darker in here. A bit more of a shadow happening. And let's go lighter here in here. And we'll work back in some more of those shadows with those different colors. Go ahead and rinse out here. And then let's go and bring in the mono brush, and I'm going to grab some more of these beautiful colors. Going to touch into some of that red. Let me grab some more of these too. That's our cadmium yellow. I just want to be able to play in here and have it and grab into it here. All right, so mama and cadmium yellow. And we're gonna just do a little sweep. Flat side of the brush, I'm just gonna sweep it in. Yeah, keep that orange too. Orange is really fun also. Orange. With pull into there. And hold the brush at a slight angle and just do a light pull, drag, and then lift off with a light hand. And lightly, very gently touch on the canvas and then lightly pull down and then lift off with a light hand. And then sweep this across gently. A vertical pull into here. And then echo that with our cadmium red. Let's do a few little pulls in here. And then pull from the other side vertically. And a little bit of that cadmium yellow, and pull that in. Sweep it across and do light pulls down. Very gentle hand on this, just kind of barely touch the canvas, lightly graze it over the top, and then just do light drag. And so put some primer and magenta in here too, which is quite lovely. Little pulls in there, lightly drag it. And all these colors that I'm using in here, they play well together. You know, this primer, magenta, orange, cadmium yellow, red, they're all going to play well together. So we're going to work those in. You can see how I've got a lot of this happening on the same brush and I'm not cleaning it off. So you're going to be okay with that. So light vertical drags. Up and down again, just kind of want to barely kind of graze over the top of the canvas, light pulls, lift off with a light hand, lightly touch it, and then pull it back and forth, basically in a vertical stroke. A few of these brighter colors here. Finally, magenta over the border. Grabbing a little bit more of that primary magenta, kind of doing light pulls over the top. Lots of fun little layers. Right. All right, now we're going to work back in some more muted colors. Use my mono brush, we rinse it out, we dry it off. We're going to come back in a little bit more of our purple. Just a dark state here. And just do some light pulls up through the top. And got a little bit of white, and we'll get some lavender in there too. It's gonna make it a bit more vibrant. We pull that down. Do some thin little vertical strokes this way. Balls in there. Let's sweep that lavender across the top. That will pull down the top of the light here. And we're starting to get some nice color in there. Let's go ahead and rinse out again. Dry off. Now we're going to go back into our blue, our primary cyan blue. Some sweeps in here. A little bit of white in there as well. With that darker slate. Pull that up in there. A little bit more black in that for that slate color. We'll start to work that into our sections in here. And a little bit more white. White pulls back and forth. And we're going to switch over to our little Betty brush. And then we're going to go back to that lighter slate, and even maybe a little bit of some of that charcoal. We've got some nice color happening. And light drags over the top. We're going to start to work in some of those neutrals again. Which pulls back and forth. So it's kind of a messy, fun. Again, lots of vertical back and forth pulls here. I've turned the brush more on this angle to make some thinner boards in here. Look at more of just that pure white right over the top too, but just slightly gray. The light gray. I'm gonna work that light back in. We've still got some layers built up of color, but we're gonna start to make it a little bit more neutral here. But you'll still see those little bits of color kind of peeking through. Light, and again. And then rinse out. Now we're gonna make a little bit of some brown here. So we do this with our cadmium orange. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna use my mama brush again and some orange and the black mixed into our orange makes some rim. And I'm gonna go ahead and kind of sweep this in. Look at the top. Here. Make it a little bit darker brown. Let's sweep it here again. And then just light pulls from the top. So it's gonna reestablish that shadow from the top. You can lightly pull that down. And this also kind of subdues that bright a little bit. So we had a nice, we're building in layers of foundation and color, but we need to work back in some of that brown. Sweep back in that darker brown here and here. Lightly kind of pull that down and then. Do a few little, very with a gentle hand, those little lines for that fawn red. Our black mixing with our orange, just more of that dark brown. Let's sweep that in here, take that across. And move it here. Sweep that across. And then let's do some pulls down. Yeah, very light, gentle hands. We'll work it side to side up at the top and then light pulls down. And we're going to start to work with something in the base as well. Going up that brown. Light pulls. Lightly dragging across the canvas up and down vertical strokes. And then on this side too, a bit more darkness here, line it up. This is our blackened orange, which makes that dark brown here. Keep it at the base too to give that shadow. Inside there. And then let's do our little pulls here too. Let's have that shadow from the top. And then those little pulls down. Let's rework that. Have a little bit more black here to kind of redefine that dark line into the roof line there. And sweep it in a little bit more black. And sweep it in a little bit more black here. This stuff. A little bit more black here for that shadow. A little bit of line there. And then a few little pulls with that black coming down vertically into the bottom. No light strokes there. So we get a little bit more of the black here. Maybe a little bit of shadow again. Sweeping that back and forth. And let's rinse out. Okay. We're going to grab a little bit more of our cadmium red. I'm just going to do little pulls with that. Bring those black back out to the front. A little more of our orange. We're gonna let that set up a little bit. We're gonna let this set up and dry, then we're gonna come back in with some palette knife activity. All right, so we're gonna be using our little bit brush now, and we're gonna work in some of those trees. So we're going to do a dollop of the white and a dollop of this cadmium yellow. Okay. And then we'll do a little bit of the black, work that all in together, and that's going to give us a nice taupe color. Again, we have our titanium white, and then a dollop of the cadmium yellow, and then a little touch of the black, just a tiny amount. That's going to give us our toes. Then we're going to go ahead and bring back in this tree and the foreground here. This is getting to be a little bit different from our model on this side. And when you start to work in the base of your tree, it can be a little bit, we're gonna add a few little like nuts there to kind of make it look a bit more natural. Doesn't have to be perfect. Trees are not perfect on the sides, so a little bit of imperfection there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of water to this. And as we pull up here, we're going to make it thicker in the center of the tree. And then as we pull up, then we'll lightly taper off. Lift off with a light hand. We've got a little bit more water there. Swirl it out. And then as you come out, you want to twirl the brush and then lift off with a light hand. And you always want to start in the center of the tree where it's thicker in the center of the tree. And then as it goes out to the edges of the branch, it'll just kind of lightly taper, twirl it. Then you want it to be thinner as it gets to be the very tip there. And you want to make it almost kind of feels like a Y or a V, and you're starting to make those little tapered branches. And again, lift off with a light hand. You always start in the center of the tree, and then pull, and then lighten up with the end of the brush there. Lift off with a light, gentle hand. It's always thicker in the center of the tree. And a few more little branches like that. And then we're going to come back and darken this up a little bit, but right now, while we have this loaded up, we'll do a few more of these branches that are coming out from behind the house here. So again, it's thicker at the base. A little bit more water. And then you're going to lift out with a light hand. And let's do a few more over here on this side. Thickness at the center. And then lift off with a light hand when you get out to the end of the branch. And then I'm gonna redo this little part of the house too, so I want it to be firmly in the foreground. I'm gonna do that. I've got a little bit more of my black, white, and blue for that sage. Not sage, sorry, slate. Oops. And then let's do a little sweep here. Look at that top. And then we're gonna look that like now that pencil's back out in front. Okay. And then let's grab a little bit of this darker brown. We're gonna work this into the green. And darken this up just a little bit here. And you can do a bit more of that black too. Add that into our tree card. Work this into the tree here at the base. A little bit more of that black. And pull that through the center of the skin. Lightly run a little bit of water to it, and then we're going to softly kind of blend that into the tree. So there's a nice transition in that lighter kind of taupe color and this darker brown. Kind of on the side of the tree there. Okay, it's very pretty. You can add a little bit of that shadow into these other little trees here too. And a little bit of water with that darker brown. And then there's a little bit of that shadow, that darker brown as a second layer over this little tree here. All right. Really pretty. We're gonna come back in. And we're gonna start to work in different little layers of our little house here. We're gonna come back into some of that dark. And our little bit brush. Get a little bit more purple here. I'm gonna purple it a little bit. And go there. And draw out some. Bit more purple in there. Sweet. Little chunky sections of a bit more of that purple. Little pulls down. A bit of white with the purple for some of that lavender. Chunky amounts of that. More of that lavender. And then like onion. Here. A little bit of water. And do a little white drag again with that purple in here. And then here. And then white. And then we'll go back under some of that primary magenta, which is this one right here. Little touches again. Rinse out. And we'll go back in for a little bit more of an expanded light here. And come back in for a bit more of our cobalt blue. And that slate color. So we've got a black and a white and a blue. We do little sweeps of that in there. One more of that slate blue, the lines of it. Little lines in there. And out. I'll come back in with our little buddy brush. Lavender. A little white in there too. Like that, like that. Little toes. Uh, Vertical pulls again. And then we're gonna bring in a little bit more of that white. Let's see more of that here with the. Bring that white here. And just put a little white onto our napkin here. And then put that over more of that white and pure state. Of course, it's gonna sort of blend in a little bit here. And then do this little close. Always down again. Waters. Soft blend. Using our little buddy brush. And softly blend more of that white over the top. And it's going to softly blend in with those colors. Non-vertical strokes with the flat part of the little buddy brush, that just redefining those little references to the bottom we're cutting in. Here. Let's rinse out. And let's try a little bit with our palette knife here too. So you can come in with your palette knife and we're going to dip into a little bit of that black. And just kind of do a little bit of scraping up here, almost what it feels like a little tiny pressure and light pulls that come down. So there it is on the other side, the flip side, and just kind of lightly pull that down. A little bit of that fun texture over the top. I do a little bit at an angle. And then light pulls down. Light pulls down. Got a little bit of black here on and our palette. And it pulls down. And this is starting to bring in that really fine texture. Coming at an angle, and then light pulls down. Now we're gonna take it from the base too and do some light pulls up. Light, gentle hands and lightly graze right over the top here. That brings in that nice texture. Lightly over the top and then lightly pull up. That light grazing texture over the top of the blossom. And we're gonna lay some of this here on the side. Lightly pull that out to the side there. Put it light on there too. Still using some of that black and I'm going to kind of tap that out for a little bit of texture. You can do like little light taps of line texture like that too, which is fun. I'm going to work in some of those, vertical stroke like that. And I'm going to work it across the base here. And again, you can also do on the side and kind of lightly tap in with the palette knife, like right over the base, tapping in those little lines. And now lightly pull up. That's a real fun little texture there. Really cool. And then you come in on the side and do that little tap, to kind of re-emphasize where some of that barnwood could be. Tap in and out like that. Tapping on again that thin line edge. Tap there. Tap there. And you can also add a little bit more texture here. It's fun too. Again, that little side tap in there, it gives you a really nice little line. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit more of that taupe continuation here. Back to extend that real quick. And really come it over our brown. And then we've got that little line edge there. You can kind of tap on the side, up to this side. And basically, come in on that side there. And you're tapping that little line on the bottom. And that adds some really nice texture there. Same thing here, a little bit of that tapping of the line. And then we'll kind of tap in a line here too. This side, you can turn it this way. You can have more control with the hand that you have the greatest strength in. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to stay with that and just turn my canvas a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to press down for that texture. And then we're going to go ahead and clean that off. And you can play with more color. Now I'm gonna grab a little bit more of this cadmium red. A nice amount on there, and then we'll get nice little touch of that. A little bit of black, but I don't know what to play. It'll just kind of take it to a crimson, which is fine. And then, a little bit of a blend in there anyway, but we can do little touches of this red in here too. Just lightly touch down and then drag it across or down. We're getting some really dynamite textures in here. On that. And then that primary magenta is really pretty too. And then some of that bright. But we're gonna subdue it a teeny amount by adding over that purple with it. And that's gonna make it more of a magenta. So that, some of that too. And lightly pull in some of that texture. Just gonna lightly rest right on top. And we can do a little more of that blue, pick up some of that. There's that primary cyan's blue. Touch of that primary cyan blue, is gonna pull that in a little bit. And then dry off. Of course, you can always come back in with a little bit more of the orange and the cadmium yellows. So, that shades of them too. So there's a lot of playfulness with the palette knife work and little touches, little brave touches. And of course, you can also come in with some of that white too. Even if I just do little tiny side swipes with it. Or vertical pulls with our white again. To add those nice little highlights back in there. And kind of touching on the bottom here and just doing light little pulls down. We're starting to get a lot of really nice textures over the top of our barn work. Oh. And of course, there can be play that could go on for literally hours. We're gonna go ahead and call it. And that's, of course, that is the one. That's the one I am. Hold on. Alrighty, okay, so this is our little bit brush. And we're gonna go back into the water a little bit. Okay, and kind of right out, rotate it to a nice fine point. And then we need to make our string lights here. So we're gonna go ahead and do, we've got a dollop of our white. And it doesn't have to be pure white. So if you're still picking into this, you can absolutely do that. And we're gonna do a little touch of our cadmium yellow. And then a little touch of our black, because we're gonna muddy that up and just basically make that taupe again. And then there it is. That's gonna be our base for our string. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more water. That's gonna help extend that paint. It's also going to make the paint more fluid, easier to control. I'm gonna add a few more touches of water there, and then we're gonna do a nice little spin into that paint, get that tip rotated back out to a nice fine point. And then I can actually still see my permanent marker line here, so I'm just gonna follow it. And then plus that's just the line that goes above those lights. All the way across there. And make that a bit more opaque. And we can do another one that can go basically just across here. Right here. And of course, you can let yours set up and dry. I'm going to go ahead and work through the paint, but that's okay. This is just kind of going into that color. The color is, it's just a nice neutral color, so not a big deal. And there's our screen again. And then we'll have one more, we'll do one more here. We'll screen line everything. Few little touches of black in those. Right, now we're gonna mix up a nice golden glow around the edge. So I'm gonna do some of this cadmium yellow. And I had some orange nearby, so I'm gonna work with that. So orange and cadmium yellow. Then work into that. That's gonna give us that nice glow. We're gonna swirl into that. So we'll make that our base. And just paint into that little shape up here. And again, cadmium yellow and orange. And it's just kind of a nice little circle shape and just get that nice golden glow in over the top first. Okay, here it is. And now here, we're just gonna go ahead and make little circles. So it's like a little half circle on one side and then circle on the other side. And again, I have to paint in real time. You can let this set up and dry and then just paint real easily over the top. And there's my orange and my cadmium yellow. This little circle of paint. I'm going to continue that. A little ball there. So a little soft curve to one side and the other. Let me do another line. There, it wasn't there, but I'm going to do it. Ready? All right, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure and get some more white. You know, okay, your kit comes with 2 plates, so we're going to take advantage of that. Put a new plate. I need this to be plain. Some more titanium white. And I really want this to be bright. You can also add a little bit of some primary yellow in here. I'm taking the tip here. We're going to mix this together. Let's see. All right, now we're going to take the end of our handle here for the mama brush, and we're going to dip into that bright primary yellow and white mix. And then we're just going to touch down completely, making a little dot right over the top. And you can feel how that glow is starting to emerge. So you have the golden glow of the cadmium yellow mixed with orange behind it. And now we're going to come in for that little dot of primary yellow and white right over the top there. And basically that warmer cadmium yellow and orange, that's what's giving the illusion of the glow that's coming from behind. Pretty cool. Real simple, and you kind of go, oh, wow, cool. All right, pretty neat. Oh, you know what? I needed to do about these guys. Oops, I'm so sorry. I have to come back in. Let's do those real quick. All right, so we're gonna, this is our cadmium yellow and orange, and I've got my little bit brush. And we're gonna do that little ball. And another little ball. Another little ball, another little ball. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna come back in, mama brush, but we're using the other side of the handle. And we're just doing a little touch right over the top. Makes that little circle right over the top there, and there's that golden glow behind it. And you can take it one step further. I'm going to use a smaller brush this time, but so we're going to use our little bit brush, and you can come in with some pure white. So again, this side of the handle here, get into the white, and do one more little dot right over the top. Yeah, yeah, very cool. All right. So that's our little bit of light pattern there. Take a little look here. All right, I think we're good. You can always continue to play more, as I mentioned, and palette knife in more texture and color. You know, if like, for example, down here, you could come in with palette knife, bring in some of that cadmium yellow, kind of sweet, you know, that in a little bit. Side, sweep that. That's really pretty too. Also, some of that white or that lavender is pretty awesome. Sweep that in. Or some of that light blue. Like a little bit more of that red. Let's bring that in a little bit. No, primary magenta. And it's just really fun, very textural. Not a lot of hard, fast rules. They're really nice. One other thing too that's kind of fun too with your palette knife is you can also do little bits of snow on your branches here too, if you want that season. So you can do a little tiny dip into the white and you can just barely kind of do a little side touch of that white. It looks like there's a little bit of snow on your branch. So that's also, you just want to do it on a few that, you know, cut it out where they could have a little bit of snow resting on there. But that's kind of an optional little step there too. You can also have some of that snow kind of touching on the barn here too, if you want that season. And again, it's on that little edge. You're just kind of pulling that straight across there. Okay, a little bit of texture. Or it could just be old paint on there too, you know, just kind of, it's okay. Then turn this around. A little touch there. And do a touch here. And also a little bit of yellow that you could do little touches of that yellow in here too. Very fun. All right, so that is our beautiful barn, and we've used our palette knife. Lots of fun colors. You can have that choice of making it more subdued, or you can make it really bright and colorful. So that's totally up to you. So we learned some fun little techniques by using our palette knife today, or just brush work by holding it very lightly and gently over the surface area. And of course, these little light tricks are also really fun too. So lots of fun little tricks today. And we just thank y'all so very much for painting with us. And again, all the supplies that you need are on our website at tipsyartist.com. Thank y'all again so very much for painting with us. Y'all have a beautiful rest of the day. Toodles.